You're listening to the Morphology Podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Morphology Podcast, aka Murph here to share interviews about biking experiences from cyclists who have pedaled to places all over. Each week we will get to know new people and explore new destinations to ride your bike. As you listen to these adventures, you may wonder, why haven't I done that yet? Well, on the show today is Brannon Pack. Brannon is the Director of Cycling Tourism in Fayetteville, Arkansas. If you haven't been to Fayetteville yet, get it on your calendar. They are nestled in the Ozark Mountains, and some of the best mountain biking in the nation happens here, with easy access trails, well-constructed, and well-maintained. They are a designated bicycle-friendly community by the League of American Bicyclists, and in addition to the mountain biking, they offer about any kind of cycling you may be into, including a 50-mile protected paved path. For only the second time on U.S. soil, Fayetteville is set to welcome the world for the 2022 Walmart UCI Cyclo-Cross World Championships. So Cyclo-Cross is one of the best fan-friendly styles of bike racing, with athletes racing on grass, sand, mud, all while having to overcome obstacles that may require carrying the bike. All this is happening while fans are able to get up close to cheer on their favorites. As Brannon says, Cyclo-Cross celebrates the wilder side of racing with fans in the mix. So here's Brannon to tell us more about Fayetteville. All right, well, on the podcast today, we have Mr. Brannon Pack. Hey, Brannon.
Good afternoon, Murph. How are you?
I'm good. So I got the chance to meet Brannon a few months ago during a Cyclo-Cross championship in Coralville, Iowa, and learned a lot about Brannon and about his job as Director of Cycling Tourism. And the coolest thing is he is from Fayetteville, Arkansas.
That's right, Murph. Again, thanks for having me. We had some, I call it a good meet and greet. We were up there at Cyclo-Cross, right? What a fun event that was. And correct, I am the Director of Cycling Tourism for Experience Fayetteville. That is the Convention and Visitors Bureau for Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Oh, awesome. And I've been lucky enough to be in Fayetteville a couple of times, one with a family member who was touring the college, and then another time on my bike. And it is just a beautiful community. I absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, when we were there this last time, it was, during kind of the pretty heavy COVID time. So a lot of the businesses were closed or greatly reduced as to how many people could go in them. But just walking around your community was so cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty special community. I'm excited to talk a little bit about that today for sure. We can get all into it.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, and listeners, you're going to be hearing about Fayetteville and the cycling culture there, but also about Cyclo-Cross World Championship, which is going to be in Fayetteville in 2022. So, okay, Brannon, I don't want to, steal your thunder. So do you want to start out by giving the listeners a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit about Fayetteville, if you ride, what you ride, and a bit about cycling?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions there. I'd love to break those down for you. I got them all. Don't worry, Mark. I got them
okay,
all.
Good.
So yes, I am a cyclist, right? I'm lucky enough to be able to work my passion, and I'm very blessed for that. Before transitioning to tourism, I was the director for one of the largest IMBA chapters in the Midwest, the International Mountain Bike Association, the Ozark Off-Road Cyclists, and really focused my professional time on mountain bike trail development and volunteer engagement in the Northwest Arkansas and Arkansas River Valley regions. Today, like many, I'm drawn to gravel experiences, and the area around Fayetteville is rich with miles of gravel roads. I would also call myself a bikepacking enthusiast. That was an interest that it was inspired from. I got an invitation to go on some of the early scouting and development rides that led to the creation of the Adventure Cycling Association's Arkansas High Country Route, which is a 1,030-mile gravel loop here in Arkansas. So really got the bikepacking bug early on. This is about 2016. In 2019, I traversed Arkansas on a self-supported gravel route of my own design and demise. And so, but as a cyclist, as I look forward, I think it is that kind of multi-day endurance type riding that I'm really drawn to.
Yeah. And like you said, it's kind of the popular, mode of transportation as far as in the cycling world for a lot of people as, we get more into people who are distracted drivers and such like that. Like I definitely am spending more time on gravel and trails.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also taking an inventory of what's around. I mean, Kansas is a great example of miles of gravel roads, but people they might not correlate Arkansas with gravel. But the reality is we have the ninth most miles of gravel road in the country. That's not per capita. That's just per mile. Arkansas is packed full of amazing gravel experiences. And a lot of those can begin and end from Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Awesome. Well, let's get into a little bit more about Fayetteville. You've already told us it's in Arkansas, but can you tell us kind of where it is if you're looking at the state of Arkansas?
I can, absolutely. So where is Fayetteville? Not North Carolina. That's a common mistake. I just want to put that, nothing against North Carolina, but Fayetteville is in the northwest corner of Arkansas, really the south central region of the United States. We have this real mountain town vibe. You talked about it. It's a college town, right? And I know mountain town really isn't. That's not necessarily what comes to mind when you think of the South. But Fayetteville is actually tucked into the Ozark Mountains. And so, for those unfamiliar, the Ozarks make up the only, I'll use the word, contiguous mountain range between the Rockies and the Appalachians. And so that's what we hear time and time again from, even I'll throw some athletes out there, the Jay Peterberrys of the world, the Rebecca Rushes of the world, the Ted Kings of the world, is they're just really taken aback by truly the elevation that exists in this region of the state. Because again, you don't think about Arkansas with mountains, but really we're kind of just nestled in the Ozark Mountain Range, which it's its own kind of pretty.
And with that said, knowing that you have that sort of scenery, I'm going to assume that you have all kinds of opportunities for biking, whether it's road riding, trail riding, single track, mountain biking, the whole gamut, right?
Absolutely, yes. I'll give you some of those. So the location, I just want, it's easy to get to. Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville, again, we're kind of centrally located. So when you're thinking about, maybe taking your next, call it cycling trip, right? We're a day's drive from several major metros: Dallas, Fort Worth, Oak City, KC, St. Louis, Memphis. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get to Fayetteville with ease. And that day's drive is important because the last thing you would do on a vacation is burn a day completely traveling, right? And so just the location of Fayetteville in Northwest Arkansas sets up for some pretty special cycling vacations.
And I can tell you firsthand, it's an easy drive from Des Moines, Iowa to Fayetteville. And we got there, got into our Airbnb, and still were able to do several hours of biking that same day. So yes, thumbs up.
There you go. Exactly. And so, well, then let's talk about riding, right? And so I'm going to brag a little bit about my community. So a couple things about Fayetteville that I want to kind of preface the riding with, right, is that Fayetteville is home to a nationally recognized but truly authentic cycling community. We're a designated bicycle-friendly community by the League of American Bicyclists. People for Bikes regularly recognizes Fayetteville as the top places for bikes. I love this one. This past year, they selected Fayetteville as an ideal destination for your next bicycle vacation. And then most recently, the UCI awarded Fayetteville with their Bike City label. And Murph, that's a designation that recognized Fayetteville's really balanced investment between sport and cycling for all. And with that designation, Fayetteville became the first community in the United States to receive that award. So I would say, I want to talk about cycling, but I'm going to start by saying the cycling in Fayetteville and our community is very authentic, and folks are taking note.
That is amazing. Some of those awards are not easy to come by. I would say most of those awards are very hard to come by.
I would agree. There's a lot of work by this community to, take our CV to Experience Fayetteville, for example. We're the tourism bureau for Fayetteville. Cycling isn't its own brand. It's just part of our culture. It's one of our core pillars. We talk about cycling like the same way we tell you where to sleep at night, what burger to eat, or what beer to drink. It's just part of our community, and it's just ingrained in who we are here in Fayetteville. And those cycling opportunities, I like to think that most of them start and end on our paved trail network. So not unique to Fayetteville, but pretty extensive, is a 50-mile protected paved trail network. We're home to mile 0 of the Razorback Greenway. For those that aren't familiar with that investment, that is a regional spine-like paved trail, fully protected from cars, that begins in Fayetteville and then runs through 6 more sister cities in Northwest Arkansas region. And so that is a great catalyst to what are all-day cycling adventures from Fayetteville. So, you boop out of your hotel, you jump on the paved trail system, and that takes you to scenic road riding. That takes you to iconic Ozark Mountain gravel riding. That takes you to the hundreds of miles of mountain bike trails that Northwest Arkansas has quickly become known for.
So definitely any sort of skill level of a rider can come to Fayetteville and have a blast.
We have families that just come and spend their entire trip just on that paved trail network because we've lined it with all the restaurants. We've lined it with the local breweries. I mean, it's just a great way to spend a day on a bicycle, or let's just be clear, a great way to wrap one up. Maybe you've gone out and you've done that scenic road ride in the Ozark Mountains and you've made your way back into town. I mean, we have literally bike access off the trail into the backs of our pubs.
Nice. That's my kind of end of the day biking for sure.
It's like Narnia for bicycles.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it.
Okay, so we've talked to everybody listening that they need to come to Fayetteville for sure. But let's get into specifics. The end of January 2022, you have an epic event coming to your community. A quick interruption to tell you this week's podcast is sponsored by Lizard Lips Lip Balm. These great lip balms contain natural ingredients, come in a variety of flavors, and you can choose certified organic or balms with sun protection. Check it out at lizardlips.net. Now back to the show.
We do. Little thanks for the foreshadowing. I will tell you that for only the second time on U.S. soil, Fayetteville, Arkansas is set to host the 2022 Walmart UCI Cyclo-Cross World Championships and truly welcome the world to town. It's going to be a full weekend of international cyclocross racing. Wow.
And like you're literally saying it's only been on U.S. soil twice?
Yeah, the only other time, this will be the only other time was in 2013 in Louisville. So this is only the second time it's ever been out of Europe. And how excited are we to be able to host that event right here in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Yeah, and I've been lucky enough to be a spectator at, Cyclo-Cross in Coralville, Iowa, but then also, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a cyclocross event in Reno. And so I have a little bit of a taste of what cyclocross is, but do you want to tell the listeners exactly what it is? What kind of cycling?
I can. Here's what I'm going to tell you. The best reference I've heard is that cyclocross is like NASCAR for cycling fans, right?
Oh, yeah.
From costume spectators, all those racers out there in brightly colored kits. It's that discipline in sport, cyclocross, that celebrates the wilder side of bicycle racing. If you're new, right, if cyclocross is new to you, basically in a nutshell, we designed a spectator-friendly race course. We pack it with obstacles like stairs, barriers, and sand pits. And then we throw the fans in the middle. Then we race rain or shine, so the chance of muddy conditions only adds to, Murph, what I think is cycling's most fan-friendly form of racing.
Yeah, it is so fun. You can hear cowbells from pretty much anywhere on the course, screaming and yelling. And you're right about the mud and the sand. I mean, I guess, those athletes sign up for it, and they seem to be loving it.
They call it the winter sport, but yeah, it's like I said, the fact that it is held rain or shine, I think just adds to the mystique of it. We saw that. So in October of this year, just a little history of some of the other events that happened in Fayetteville in this region. We did host the region's first ever UCI Cyclo-Cross World Cup event, which really pulled the curtains back on this venue that will be the host venue for the World Championships next January. But it was Tuesday, just screaming fast. Course was super dry. Athletes were out there just ripping laps. And then at the start of the elite women's race, the skies opened up and it started raining. And it didn't stop raining until we had gotten 5 inches. And it was It was spectacular. It's everything you want cyclocross racing to be. The athletes are full. The only thing you can see when they smile is the white of their teeth because they're fully just covered in mud. It was,
Oh my gosh.
it was amazing. It was amazing.
So, okay, that sounds awesome, actually. So, I'm not somebody that would ever be an actual cyclocross athlete, but I would definitely be a spectator. So, can you kind of give a feel for who participates? Like, what kind of a cyclist is doing this?
The top cyclist in the world. It being the winter sport, cyclocross pulls from multiple disciplines. So it pulls from the elite mountain bike, segment of racers. It pulls from the elite road racers. And so you really get a collection of some of the top cyclists in the world. In attendance in February next January will be reigning world champions like Lucinda Brand, Matthew Vanderpool, U.S. national champions like Claire Hansinger, and Olympic gold medalists like Yolanda Neff. In total, probably looking at close to 300 elite women, men, U23, and junior cyclists. They're participating in 6 different world championship races throughout the weekend.
Wow. And basically, they're lumped into whatever skill level they are, and then they do their race, and then another race happens, and then another race happens, right?
Correct. Yep. It's action-packed, all-day racing. That's the idea. That's also again, what makes it so fan-friendly. You got about enough time to go grab a beer, grab some fries, and then get back race. Again, we talk about how spectator-friendly it is. We put the spectators right up next to the course. You're like, if mud's getting splashed, you're liable to get some on you.
Every time I've gone to a cyclocross, I bring my big, tall rubber boots just in case, and I think I've had to wear them every single year.
Well, I will tell you, there's a lot of people that have their fingers crossed, hope that you get to wear them in January because we've seen what that course is like in wet conditions, and it is appropriate cyclocross.
Yeah, and speaking of that, okay, so we're talking about a course that is probably partly on grass, partly on sand, partly on dirt, and then if it rains, so where does something like this take place? I mean, is it a structure that already exists, or are you building it, or how does that work?
I love you asked this question. Okay, and so the 2022 Walmart UCI Cyclocross World Championships will take place at a new purpose-built venue. It's Centennial Park at Millsap Mountain. It's a 228-acre public park. It's on the southwest corner of town. You can get there by the interstate, and it's home to both professionally constructed mountain bike and cyclocross race courses. It's an investment in sport that, it just hasn't been made in the States yet. And I say that not to take away from other venues. You just have to see it. And the course itself, okay, I'm gonna get a little excited on you, but it's 1.8 miles of truly ripping fast mountaintop cyclocross racing until it rains, like we talked about. Centennial Park sits atop this mountain, and that's really where the builders went to work, knowing that the intention was this venue to host world caliber and world championship events. Every foot of that race course was truly designed, was purpose built to get the most out of that mountain. There's literally a mountain of stairs, 39 to be exact. There's a drop off the backside of that hits grades of 20%.
Whoa.
There's sections of race courses that weave through the woods. There's a 1/4-mile power line climb that you can see from campus. There's this wild finish feature that we named Fayetteville's own Stonehenge. It's got this unique double horseshoe where the racers come in below, they finish above, and there's this whole spectator pad to hang out in the middle. And then speaking of NASCAR, the last turn of the race course is this huge sweeping Talladega-like turn. They're going to get 2, 3, 4 wide as they come through there. And then they hit the asphalt where they can just twist the bars off the bikes all the way to the finish line.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Gosh.
It's
that
amazing.
Is awesome. Okay, so when you say, a big mountain with all those stairs, explain how a bike rider does that.
Well, so there's a dismount procedure. As you can imagine, you're running full blast, you're pedaling, and typically you'll see a racer throw their leg off the bike, depending on their style. I do like non-drive side, and then they literally just kind of pop a foot off, and you land in a sprint. So as soon as you're off that bike, you're throwing your bike up over your shoulder and right in front of that stair feature. Now you're literally running with your bike over your shoulder up those stairs. At the top, there's just enough platform to throw a leg over, get clipped in before you bomb off the backside on that 20% descent. It's wild.
And I I'll just speak on what I've seen, but it's so interesting when you have a whole field of racers and I'll just do the guys race that I saw. The front maybe 15 to 20 guys are so skilled. They have probably practiced a gazillion times that they don't even stop running. They'll just, unclip, jump off their bike, run, and then just jump right back on and go. And then as
seamless. Yes, seamless.
And then as the field gets towards the back, then you've got the people that are walking or have their bike on their shoulder and still very skillful. I mean, this is deep sand or mud or, like you said, super steep. It's really, really amazing to watch.
Again, it is the most fan-friendly form of racing. I can't think of another cycling discipline, sport specific, to where it truly is designed with spectators in mind.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that we mentioned the exact dates and maybe how people can find out more information.
Yeah, I love that. So the 2022 Walmart UCI Cyclo-Cross World Championship will take place from January 28th through the 30th. That's obviously next January 2022. We plan to kick things off on Thursday evening, January 27th, with a free open to the public opening ceremony in Fayetteville's historic downtown. Then we're going to roll right into racing on Friday. So the racing starts on Friday. There's this brand new race format that the UCI is testing. It's a cyclocross relay race. It features 6 competitors from a specific country competing against other countries in a relay style format. That's never been done before. And that's super exciting to be able to test that for the UCI right there in Fayetteville. Wow. And then we roll into a full weekend of 6 world championship races.
And is there a cost to attend this?
There is. So an event like this size, obviously, I know it's depends on the event, right? But this is a ticketed event, and we would love to have everybody. In fact, I'd love to maybe end with an invitation, right? Hosting a world championship is an honor. One that we hope to celebrate with as many cycling fans from around the world as possible, and everyone is invited. Tickets are on sale. That's at Cyclo-Cross Fayetteville AR 2022.com, not North Carolina. Nothing against North Carolina. Right. Again, Cyclo-Cross Fayetteville AR 2022.com. Then while you're here, you can head to experiencefayetteville.com, where we've got a full selection of route-specific vlogs featuring road riding, gravel grinding, mountain biking, all to add to your time in Fayetteville while you're here for the World Championships.
Wow. Okay, so you can go to that website and get tickets now and then plan your, maybe an extended weekend to go there and probably bring your own bike so you can ride as well.
Absolutely. Murph, we need to get you to these World Championships.
Yeah, I will probably be there and with a bike and my big rubber boots.
It sounds like you've checked all the boxes for cyclocross.
A quick interruption to give a shout out to Primal Wear. Cycling is their passion and apparel is their craft. So if you're in the market for a new jersey, bibs, mask, or any cycling apparel, go to primalwear.com and use code PRIMALMURPH to get 20% off your purchase. Yes, 20% off. Now back to the show. So one thing, like you're in Fayetteville, you ride your bike, whether you're doing, pavement or single track or mountain biking, are there other things to do besides biking?
A little bit. We call those, I like to call them off-bike activities, right? You've gone on this epic, had this epic ride, and then now, you're done, and what are you going to do after? And so Fayetteville has plenty, everything from bars full of pinball machines to George's Majestic, which is the oldest live music venue in Arkansas. You have to put Fayetteville's historic downtown and entertainment districts on that cool things list to do when you're in town for the World Championships.
Yeah. And you said there's a separate website for that, right? Experience Fayetteville?
Yep, experiencefayetteville.com. We got a wide selection of, all the things to do while you're in town. That includes everything from art to food to places to ride your bicycle.
Oh, excellent. Well, Brannon, you definitely are in the best position ever as Director of Cycling Tourism and leading, all of these people that are coming to see the Cyclo-Cross World Championship is going to be epic.
I think so. We would agree. And we are, like I said, we are truly excited to welcome the world right here in Fayetteville, Arkansas next January. And Murph, hope to see you there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Well, listeners, that's it for this week. Thanks, Brannon, for coming on to talk about Fayetteville, Arkansas, and congrats on the upcoming Cyclo-Cross World Championships. Tickets are on sale now at Cyclo-Cross Fayetteville AR 2022.com. And after you get your tickets, head over to experiencefayetteville.com to start planning your trip and scope out route options for gravel, road, mountain biking, and more for yourself. Email me at murphologypodcast@gmail.com if you have a topic or the name of a cyclist you find interesting. Support my podcast at patreon.com/murphology. Visit my Instagram page for daily entertainment and check out my website for all kinds of bicycle stuff. And of course, a quick shout out to Simmons Electric for sponsoring this podcast. I'll leave you with this quote from the Unwritten Book of Murphology. This quote comes from Greg LeMond. One thing that cycling has taught me is that if you achieve something without a struggle, it's not going to be satisfying. Think about it.